So when I was growing up into college and all that, I was a chameleon, a cultural chameleon. I would shift based upon the crowd I was in. I would shift so many things about myself that I kind of lost sight of who I really was. I didn't really understand personal identity or anything like that. And I got in all kinds of trouble as a result of that shifty nature that was in me. Willing to lie, cheat, and steal to get ahead in the ways that I thought mattered in life. And the problem that I saw redundantly was I had no firm footing. I just blew here and there based upon what was going on. I have no idea what would happen to my life. Well, I have a very good idea what would happen to my life if God didn't intervene. And I'm very thankful for that. But I remember back in those days thinking, I wish I could just be firm. I wish I could just be solid and immovable and not change based upon the audience that I'm in. And I would make attempts at that, and then it would always just seem to somehow fail. A desire to please people or something like that. I don't know what it was. But when I read a verse like this, it says, "He will be like a tree firmly planted by streams of water." That's what triggers in my mind. That's what goes off, this idea of being like a tree. I was anything but a tree. You know, I was like one of these blades of grass or something. You're just like a dandelion, you know, in seed with its little seeds everywhere. Blown to and fro based upon whatever was going on. No real integrity. No real strength of character to stand against what was going on. Over the course of the last 22 years, God has seen fit to change me and make me much stronger, which is odd because I was like 21 when I got saved. And to see that I'm much stronger now than I was then, even physically, is a strange reality. How does that happen? It happens if you look at Psalm chapter 1, verse 3, when he says, "He will be like a tree firmly planted." So then you go, who? Well, you just go in reverse, verse 2. He says, but his delight. So the one who delights in the law of the Lord is the one who will be like the tree. Oh, okay. So I find my delight in the law of the Lord. What's the law? Well, he's talking about the Pentateuch, first 5 books of the Bible. And there's so much awesome stuff that can be gleaned from those first 5 books of the Bible. That's the Pentateuch, man. That's where you learn about the creation of the world, and you learn about everything that God created that was very good and how it all unraveled and fell apart. And you start to understand the entire universe as a result. And your place in it, and all of these things start to come together because you understand the light that God just turned on for you when He gave you the Pentateuch, when He gave you the Word. And so I have a delight in that. And now let's work in reverse now. Verse 1, he says, the blessed person, verse 1, the blessed man is the one who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked. He doesn't hang out and doesn't allow his thoughts to stay in the place where the people who don't love God are. I don't germinate in the thoughts of those who don't care about God, and I don't, furthermore, stand in the path of sinners. I don't progress in that direction. I don't go from walking with them to now stopping and interacting with them on that level, nor sit in the seat of scoffers. So if I want to be like a tree, if that's my end game, if that's my goal, to be strong and to be steadfast, not this flopsy wimp that I was, how am I going to get there? Well, find my delight in His law. Find my joy in knowing His Word. And then the more I mine into it, the more I see how much a delight it is to know. And then, as I said, backing up, I find that, look, stay out of the counsel of the wicked. What value are they to you? Now, I'm not saying don't read in a broad range. Don't read people that don't agree with you. I'm not saying to live in an echo chamber, basically, of just people echoing back to you what you want to hear. But I don't sit there and absorb their counsel without discernment, without thinking it through, without connecting it or sifting it through the Word of God to help me understand. I don't need to reside there. I don't need to stand in the path of the sinners or sit in the seat of the scoffers, making fun of everything. especially everything that would be godly. So that's my hope, is that I can be that kind of person. I'm not trying to proclaim that I am the firmly planted tree, by the way. I'm just saying, as compared to what I was, there's a whole lot of solidarity in character. Which, that healthy tree, back to verse 3, what does it do? Well, a healthy tree, like the one planted by these waters, yields fruit in its season. It produces what it ought. So the disconnect for me was I knew some good stuff. I knew some, right things to say, but there was no real fruit coming out of all that stuff. It was like saying the right stuff and then all this ugly stuff as a result. Anger and hostility and violence and all this other pursuing of self. So a healthy tree is going to do what it should, which is produce the right kind of fruit. And its leaf does not wither. So we have here the picture of a tree that is like always prospering. It's always producing and growing. One of my boys right now, I swear, we just measured within the last month his height compared to his mother. And he was just slightly underneath. But now within like a month, he's taller than her. And we just measured today, actually. And it's surprising. How do you grow that much that fast? Right? It's amazing. And that's this tree. It's growing. It's thriving. I don't want to just be strong. I don't want to just reach a place where I plateau in the physical sense. Nobody that's trying to, grow and get stronger and all that wants to plateau. Everybody wants to push past that peak and find a new peak. And that's how it is in our life with God, except we're not dependent now upon our muscles when it comes to such things. We're now dependent upon the Spirit working in our lives to raise us to new heights. Here, I don't want to just be a tree that's solid. I want to be thriving. And in whatever he does, he prospers. I don't think it just means in the sense of, every financial goal, because if that's true, boy, I've messed that up. Every stock you invest in isn't going to boom. But the person who is connected back to and finds his delight in the law of God, and who finds that he's not residing among the pagan worldview, this person is going to find that he prospers in all the ways that truly matter. I'm blessed out of my socks. I've got a loving family. I got a wonderful church. I got a wonderful opportunity to serve in the church. I got so many delightful things and blessings that God has given me. I'm blessed out of my mind if I will but see it. And I can see how I've prospered in so many ways. So many ways. God is so good. And that's what is being in view here. In verse 4, though, he now switches gears and he speaks of the wicked. Now, this is a really apt description of where I was in life. The wicked are not so. Not so like what? They're not like a tree. The contrast here is that they are like chaff which the wind drives away. So if you grab some wheat and it's ripe, it's ready to go, and it's all covered, just like a peanut covered in that shell, if you're not familiar with wheat, and you grab that little kernel wheat and you can rub it, and all that chaff's coming off and it just flakes off of there till you get down to what you actually want. That useless stuff that flakes off, like that peanut shell, that's the wicked. Lawn clippings. It's just blown along by the wind. That whatever current is strong enough to push, that's where they're going to go. Boy, doesn't that explain American culture? Or not just American culture, but culture in general. That whatever is strong enough and loud enough is going to push the mob in that direction. The sheep are going to just meh that direction over and over. And that is such a description that's so fitting for what we observe, for what we see in reality. Most of us, most of the time, are pushed here and there by all sorts of winds of change as they come through. And we rarely see how much that's the case. We rarely see how much we're affected by all those things. Until you get into the Word. You get into the Word of God enough and your perspective starts to change and you start to feel more and more out of step with everything going on. You start to find that you you don't have that much in common with the way the world views everything. He says further then, they're not just chaff, but which the wind drives away. Therefore the wicked will not stand in judgment. That's exactly what you think of when it talks about the wind driving it away. They're going to be dealt with. The wicked, they're not going to be able to stand. Naturally, they're chaff. How are they going to answer in judgment? And not with just some, American court system thing, not some Supreme Court thing with a few justices up there that don't really know much or trying to gather facts that you might be able to hide some of the data from. Now, this is talking about judgment from a God who knows everything, who knows every idle word and deed. Isn't that crazy? How are you going to stand under that kind of scrutiny? Well, you're not. You'll be consumed. Nor will sinners be able to stand in the assembly of the righteous. They won't be able to stand up and hold their heads high as though they are truly clean and righteous. Now, they can now. There are plenty of rich, powerful, hobnobbing, important people in our world today who are able to hold their head very high and quite arrogantly in the face of any given tribunal, any given judgment. But that's because they know they hid their secrets well. But not when you're dealing with God. And not when you're dealing with God and His righteous people are there as a witness to what's going on. They won't be able to hold their head up and proclaim so boldly how righteous they are because all those secrets will be exposed. It'll all be brought to light. And you're not going to be able to stand in that day. Not on the merits of your own righteousness. He says finally in verse 6, "For the Lord knows the way of the righteous." And what a comfort that is. But notice again the contrast. "But the way of the wicked will perish." There is such a threat in that. If you don't love God and if He don't love you. "For the Lord knows the way of the righteous." What more comfort can I have when my cause and my way is right than to know that God sees and knows all that's going on? He knows not only my cause, but He knows the cause of the person who's coming against me and everyone else involved in the process. What a comfort that is when my hope and my strength is built on nothing less than Jesus Christ and His righteousness. That is such a comfort. But when I was chaff, when I was, blowing to and fro by whatever was coming along, this was a threat to hear that God knows what's going on, that He knows the righteous. But the way of the wicked, it'll perish, certainly. And I love that it's a command, or there's no argument with this. There's no discussion regarding whether it's truthfulness, whether it is truthfulness or not. The way of the wicked will perish. There's a certainty about it. Again, I said the last time, if you happen to watch that video, this is a really cool way to start the book of Psalms. That it lays before us both righteousness and life, and then on the other side, death and wickedness. So now when you start to enter into the rest of the Psalms, it's kind of like a theme, a baseline that you keep going back to help you understand what's going on. Which lane are you in? Which team are you on? Are you among those who are the blessed? Or do you find yourself that you are the one who is walking in the counsel of the wicked? And maybe worse than that, you're standing in the path of the sinners. And even further, you now find that you sit in the seat of scoffers. You are the scoffer. You're the one that this passage is warning about. There's some serious stuff to digest. And I hope that you find that that's not you. Instead, what you want to be is the tree. The firmly planted tree. Not a wild tree. Not a tree that just happened to be by the streams of water, but one that was planted. Planted by God in His sovereignty. I hope you thrive in your efforts to please Him with your life. We'll I'll see you next time.